Welcome back to BST, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on yet another episode. The Toronto Maple Leafs, man. They did it again. They did it again. We have a lot to get to on today's episode. We'll go over the Dallas Stars beating the Winnipeg Jets. Obviously, the Toronto game and series, and then we'll go over the Oklahoma City Thunder and Denver Nuggets series. I was gonna start with the Dallas Stars and the Winnipeg Jets, but screw it. Let's start with the game that is fresh on my mind and the mind of so many NHL fans. I don't even know where to begin right now. You say you can't make it up, but you can because it's happened so many times. It's just Toronto, 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 Toronto. I don't have words. I don't have words. I knew this was gonna happen. To be honest, I knew it. I knew Toronto would lose this game seven. I knew they would win game six. Um, to force a game seven just to make it that much harder on their fans. Poor Toronto fans who were like throwing a whole bunch of stuff on the ice. I think a few jerseys flew on the ice, beer, all sorts of things, booing, leaving the game early. Toronto fans are not happy about their team right now. But let's just go through the series. So, first two games, Toronto goes up 2-0 in the series. And now you're like, okay, this is the year. This is the year Toronto. They finally overcome their demons. They make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. They're going to go on a little bit of a run here. Everybody's happy in Toronto. Everybody's happy. This is the final of the year. In game one, they win 5-4. In game two, they win 4-3. You guys know I love using the deserve to win meter. In game one, 60.9% deserve to win for Toronto. In game two, 75.3% deserve to win for Florida. So game two, both games were close. So even though Toronto goes up 2-0, both games are close. But Toronto just has enough. And that's kind of why I thought, okay, this is the year for Toronto, because they finally had like the edge to win these close games they haven't had in the past. I'm like, all right, this is it. This is the one. This is when they finally do it. Then game three, and it goes to overtime. And I'm like, all right, this is a must win for both teams. If Toronto must win this because it basically puts Florida to bed. But at the same time, Florida needs to win this so they can have a chance in this series. And Brad Marchand, the Leaf owner, 5-0 versus the Leafs in winner-take-all games. So 5-0 against the Leafs in the playoffs for Brad Marchand. And he scores the game winner in game three, which turned this series around. In that game, Florida 68.9% deserved to win. So Florida deserved that game. They won it, and that was the turning point in this series. They'd fire back with two more in a row after that, making it 3 in a row after Toronto's 2 in a row to start the series. 2-0 in game four, 85% deserved to win for Florida. And 6-1 in game five, which, interesting enough, Toronto 59.8% deserved to win, which I was kind of shocked looking at. That's one of those ones that's like, really? 6-1, but it was almost a 10% deserve to win advantage for Toronto. I'm not sure how much I believe that one. But then you go back to Florida for game six. And like I said before, I knew Toronto was going to win this one. That's what they've done. They've done this in the past. They either win a game six to force a game seven, or they lose a game six to force a game seven. It's just in their blood. It's what they do. Since like 1967 or whenever they won the cup last, this is what Toronto does. They make it so incredibly hard on their fans. And they do it again. They win 2-0 in Florida on Florida's home ice to force a Game 7. Toronto with a 53.4 deserved to win. Then there's Game 7. And Florida comes out hot. Real hot. Paul Maurice had those boys buzzing. They were hot. I think it was like 19-0 in shot attempts at one point in the first period. So, I mean, Florida came ready to go. Toronto reeling, which is the exact opposite of what you expect for a team that is on the road in a hostile environment. You expect them to come out slow. You expect Toronto to come out hot. Game 7, prove the haters wrong. Core 4, Matthews, Marner, Nylander, Tavares, prove them wrong. No. Come out super flat. Super flat. Not a great start. But Joseph Wall getting the start over Stolars, he stands pretty strong. We're 0-0 through the first period. But in the second, things start to fall apart for the Maple Leafs. I don't know exactly how many goals they scored in the second, but they put it away. I think it was like 3-0 going into the third. So 3 goals in the second. The interesting thing about this game is Toronto had their chances. There were multiple times they were right on the doorstep, but Bobrovsky, big-time playoff goalie, stepped up once again for the Florida Panthers. And Toronto just could never get anything going. Again, like I said, core 4, no points in this game. No points in this game. Combined 12 points this series. Out of 4 players, 12 points. That is not very good. And a lot of those points came early in the series. Of course, Matthews scored the goal in Game 6 to make it 1-0. But Marner, where was Marner? Nylander is the best playoff performer out of any of the core 4. So, you know what? I'll give Nylander his props. I'm not going to blame this one on Nylander. Nylander is a great player. He has performed in the playoffs in the past. It has been Marner, Matthews, Tavares who have not. Matthew Nyes elevated his game this playoffs. Not great in these past couple games, but he has this playoffs. So this one's on Matthews, Marner, and Tavares. And they lose Game 7 6-1. And they lose the series. Once again, the Toronto Maple Leafs lose in Game 7 in the playoffs. I think that's what makes it so disappointing for them, is they're so close. It's not like they have been blown out before in series, but they have had so many times where they are so close to moving on and maybe going on a run to win a cup. And there's just no reason that with this team they couldn't have. I think if they make it past this game, they could have easily won the cup. But they didn't. And now the core 4 0-6 in Game 7s. 0-6. 6 opportunities to move on in different years, and you're 0-6 in Game 7s. Brutal. Now, obviously, there's going to be change. There is going to be change coming for Toronto. I think I'd be shocked if Marner's back. I think in years past, you couldn't really justify trading Marner, Tavares. First of all, Tavares' contract has been pretty bad. He's also a UFA, so I think Tavares, Marner are goners. You build around Matthews because he's under contract, just paid him the most money in the entire league. I think it's like 14-something million. The player we saw in this series was not a $14 million player. I'm sorry. He just wasn't. And I think that's why you can't pay Marner either. You aren't going to pay Marner $14 million for this. No. Tavares, he may come back just because, I don't know, he's getting older. I believe it's his hometown. I don't know if it's hometown, but maybe he's from the area. I think that was kind of the storyline when he left the Islanders. So he might come back on a hometown discount, something like that. kind of make up for all the money he's stolen from them for the past couple of years. I think making north of 9 million. Just not worth it. Had a good season this year, but just not worth that. So I think at the very least, Marner needs to be gone. Can't perform in the playoffs. He'll get paid somewhere else. Maybe Utah. I could see Anaheim going after him. They got a lot of money and a pretty young team. So I think Marner's got to be gone. If Tavares is gone, yeah. But I think they need to search for that true number one defenseman. They've had Morgan Riley, who's been decent for them. Good, pretty good. He's a good defenseman, but I think they need that number one guy. That we that those guys that we know of. I mean, they're hard to find, but you gotta find something there. But yeah, Matthews' first year of his captaincy, not great, not great. Same old Maple Leafs. But yeah, you build around Matthews, Nylander, Nyes. I think he's an RFA, so we'll see if he leaves, gets offer sheeted. I think if you're Toronto, you have to keep him. I mean, with Marner leaving, you're clearing up about like 9 million off the roster. So if Marner and Tavares leave, that's like 18 million. So and then if they re-sign Tavares to like I don't know, 5 million, 4 million. Well, I don't know what he's worth, but something around there. Um, that could clear up some space. And I've seen a lot of people say this. Maybe you just go out there and you just try to find some pieces that can just perform. We've seen players who are not near the level of Marner in the regular season or just point production, but in the playoffs, they're just good playoff performers. That's what this team needs. They're not that far off. They really aren't. They are not far off. Their decor is really good. I'm not sure if they have any UFAs. They probably do. But overall, their decor is good. I still think if they had that number one defenseman, that'd be huge. Those are really hard to find. Spoiler alert, they are really hard to find. So I think you just got to kind of do a small retool. Just got to change up the scenery. There's just no way that you can please your fans by going back out on the ice next year with Marner on the roster. Just no way. I don't see it happening. So I think they got to switch it up, build around Matthews, Nylander, Nyes. Though I mean Nylander, like I said, your best playoff performer historically. And Matthews just signed that big contract. He's your captain. You're not getting rid of Matthews. But in years past, it was hard to justify moving off of Marner because he was under contract. But now he's a UFA. It sucks not getting anything back for him, but I think you just got to move on. So tough one for the Maple Leafs. Excited to watch Steve Dangle react, do his LFR. Go check that out on YouTube. Pretty funny stuff. gets pretty heated, so go check that out. But yeah, man, just sucks for the Maple Leafs. And now the Panthers. I mean, I ain't even talk about the Panthers. They're just a well-oiled machine, man. They really are. Since adding Kachuk, they just have this grit to them, and they're just stacked. I could definitely see them winning the cup. I said as soon as they beat Tampa, I'm like, this is your cup winner right here. They've done it. They did it last year. They could do it again. They lost Montour. They basically just replaced him with Seth Jones, who had an amazing Game 7. So Canes are going to have their hands full. They haven't been able to beat the Panthers before. I'm not sure they're going to be able to do it again, especially if Bobrovsky is firing on all cylinders and getting hot. So should be an interesting series. Canes, Panthers. Let's move on. Let's just jump over to the other NHL series that recently ended. Dallas taking down Winnipeg 4-2. I didn't have much optimism coming into this series for Winnipeg. Definitely wanted them to win over Dallas. Sorry, I need a little bit of water there. I thought Maybe they had a chance. I didn't like it. They barely escaped St. Louis in that series in 7, and with that crazy goal at the end there. So didn't like their chances. Dallas wins game 1. It was close. So, but I just knew it. As I think it was 2-2 or something. I'm like, okay, Dallas has got this game. Dallas just has that edge to them, and it's like, man, they got so many guys there. It's just like somebody's gonna score here. But Winnipeg, or sorry, yeah, and Dallas had a 51.8% deserve to win, so they deserved that game. But Winnipeg answers 4-0. Hellebuck pitches a shutout. Um, and it was on, was it? Yeah, or no, that was at home. So yeah, that made sense because Hellebuck has been really good at home, not so great on the road. Winnipeg 69.2% deserve to win. So 1-1 series. But Dallas wins 2 in a row, 5-2, then 3-1. 76.9% deserve to win in game 3, but Winnipeg at a 55.7% deserve to win in game 4. But now Dallas up 3-1 going into game 5. I think I knew right here it was over. I think most people knew it. I think Winnipeg fans knew it was over. But Winnipeg battles. Another shutout for Hellebuck, 4-0. Same result as game 2. Winnipeg 72.5% deserve to win. And then in game 6, with Mark Scheifele having a heavy heart, prayers to his family. His dad passed away that morning of the game. Just sucks, man. Nobody deserves to go through stuff like that. But he decided to play, and I think his dad would be proud of that effort. Scored a goal in the game, but ultimately it was his penalty, which the Stars scored on, which was just gutting. For anybody who's watching, you can probably agree with me. Gutting to watch and see. So yeah, Dallas wins 2-1 in overtime. Dallas 85.3% deserve to win. I mean, Winnipeg had their chances. Appleton somehow didn't bury that cross ice pass from, I think it was Kyle Connor. Man, that one was rough. But yeah, like I said, thoughts and prayers to Mark Scheifele and his family. But so that kind of put a damper on the game. I really liked the handshake line after that. Some extra long words for Scheifele, obviously. And his teammates were consoling him after the game. It was just sad, man. It was sad to watch. So Dallas wins the series. Disappointing season for Winnipeg. Been 25 seasons. And they've only made the Western Conference Final one time out of those 25 seasons, and no Stanley Cups in those 25 seasons. So, President's winning trophy season for Winnipeg, one of their greatest seasons in franchise history. But just we're not able to put it together. Very similar to Washington, in my opinion. A good season. Felt like a lot of things went right, and just didn't really get the production in this series, especially. Perfetti only had 1 point. He had that great game 7 versus St. Louis, only 1 point in this series. But Ehlers, I believe Ehlers is still a UFA. I don't think they signed him, but he had 6 points. So Ehlers UFA, somebody's gonna be getting a good player right there. I figure probably Winnipeg doesn't have the money to re-sign him. I'm not exactly sure on that. But the Western Conference Final, Stars Oilers, rematch of last year. Oilers 1-6 last year. It should be a good one. I'm pretty excited for this one. I'll definitely be cheering for the Oilers. Man, I'm thirsty today. I'll be definitely cheering for the Oilers, to be honest. I just want to see McDavid win a cup. The Stars are young. They got a lot of chances left. Obviously, Ben, Sagan. I can't remember I don't know if Sagan was there with the Bruins when they won their cup that one year. in 2011 against Vancouver. But definitely Ben has not won one. So I'm not the biggest fan of Ben's. So I would definitely like to see McDavid Draisaitl win a cup. So I'll be cheering for them. Um, and it should be a good series. I think his chances to go it has to at least go 6 or 7 in my opinion. So if the Oilers can get Ekholm back, the Stars are healthy now. They got Robertson's back and Heiskanen. So if they can get Ekholm back, these will be teams at their full strength. So it should be interesting to see where it goes. I'm excited to see what happens in that series. Moving on to the NBA. First of all, I would like to rant about the whoever does the scheduling for the NBA. Obviously, Game 7 sucked. It was a horrible game. But who is the dummy in the offices of the NBA who said, "Let's put Game 7 between the two MVP candidates of the league at 1:30 in the afternoon Mountain Standard Time," which is what? What would that be? Like 12:30 Pacific and 3:30 Eastern? What are we doing? What are we doing? That is disgusting. The fact that this was not a primetime game is disgusting, regardless of the outcome. Just it in and of itself, this should be automatically be a primetime game. The MVP candidates in a game 7 to go to the Western Conference Final and you put it at 1:30 Mountain Standard Time? I don't know about that one, guys. I don't know about that one. But let's talk about the series. OKC wins the series 4-3. Game 1 went to Denver, 121 to 119. And I'm like, all right, can Denver win this? Because I'm not the biggest fan of OKC. I like Jokic a lot. I have respect for SGA. I think he's a great player, but I think Jokic deserves the MVP. Game 2, OKC dominates 149 to 106. This one I was kind of getting worried for Denver. I'm like, all right, OKC is kind of a juggernaut. They don't really have a weakness. But Denver answers 113 to 104 in overtime. All right, we're moving now. But OKC won't leave the picture. 92 to 87 win in game 4. Then they win in game 5. OKC 112 to 105. Game 6, Denver answers 119 to 107. And then game 7, OKC 125 to 93. OKC was just the better team overall, especially in Game 7. It felt like Jokic and Murray couldn't leave the court or else it was over for them. I mean, they didn't play great anyway, but like they just do not have the depth that OKC has. Caruso, I was really impressed by. I kind of forgot he was on OKC, but I mean, he was just a defensive beast out there. It's like they put him on Jokic sometimes, and he was locking him up. Just unbelievable from Alex Caruso, to be honest. I mean, I was like, I mean, I guess he won that championship with the Lakers, but man, what a player that guy is. And that's the depth they have. They have Hartenstein on the bench. He started for the Knicks last year. And this team is unbelievable. They're stacked. Definitely my favorite to win it all now. Now that Boston's gone, I think they should undoubtedly win it. Who knows if they will? Yeah, and plus Aaron Gordon was hobbled, grade 2 hamstring, strain or something. So, he couldn't even sprint. So, I mean, it was just over for Denver. I still think Jokic is the MVP. I get it. He didn't play better than SGA in this game or in the series, really. So for Denver, I don't know. Because they fire Malone. They fire their GM. He won the championship 2 years ago. Now, I don't really know what you do. You still got a good squad definitely not as deep as that championship team. I guess you just run it back. I don't really know what else you do. You just run it back with his team. I feel like sometimes Jamal Murray can be a little inconsistent at times, but when he's on, he's on. But for OKC, they're going to face the Minnesota Timberwolves. Should be a good matchup. I still think OKC wins in 5 or 6. I just don't think the Warriors have what it takes to stop them defensively. Obviously, you got Gobert. Not the biggest fan of Gobert. I'm a Jazz fan. I know. Gobert, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of him. Julius Randle can sometimes disappear in the playoffs. Anthony Edwards is obviously a great player, so I'm hoping the Wolves can win it because I would love to see Ant Edwards in a final. But I think Minnesota or OKC will pull it off. But yeah, some fun sports action that took place. Sorry to all the Toronto fans who have to go through this every year. I think for fans of losing teams, they might say it's better to make the playoffs and lose. Because like at least you're making it, at least you have fun regular seasons. But there's a different kind of pain when you know you have the potential to win it all and you can't year after year. And I think that's what's happening with Toronto fans. So my condolences out to the Toronto fans. But yeah, thank you guys so much for getting us to 101 subscribers up here. That's a big number for us. 100 subscribers, that's huge. So thank you so much for that. Go check out our TikTok. Some crazy comments about Brock Purdy being left over there. A lot of the Niners fans flocking over to the comments. Not happy about what I said about Brock Purdy. So yeah, go leave a comment over there. Leave a comment under this video. Whatever you're thinking. Please like, subscribe, comment. Yeah. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy Memorial weekend next week. It should be a good one. We'll be covering the series as they end for both the conference finals for the NBA and the NHL. Might be doing a baseball episode here pretty soon, kind of looking at some of the things that's happening across that league. So, yeah, fun stuff ahead. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.